September 29th, 2022. It's the day that will go down the history books as the day Hurricane Ian came to landfall with a 45-mile wide eye, pushing winds at 147 miles an hour, driving tidal surges 12 to 15 feet above normal range, devastating the city of Fort Myers. Some have said Fort Myers will never be the same. Fort Myers will never be reconstructed. I want to assure you that the housing market in Southwest Florida prior to Ian's arrival was on wobbly legs, but now the question is reverberating. What's going to happen to the housing market in Fort Myers? I personally don't believe that the city is going to remain unfinished, unrepaired. No. Today I'm going to give you 5 predictions about what's going to happen in Fort Myers and Southwest Florida housing industry, because I've spoken to the world's #1 expert on post-hurricane restoration and the housing market. I'm going to introduce you to that expert before this video ends, so this is not one that you want to clip off a little bit early. Welcome to Gulf Premier Sarasota. This is Brent Haggerty, brokered with eXp. Prediction #1 about the housing market in Southwest Florida prior to Hurricane Ian. Housing inventory is going to go down. The numbers are already coming in. If you go to the 10 days following Hurricane Ian's arrival, you'll see that only 900 homes have been listed on the MLS as new listings. If you go 10 days prior to the arrival of Hurricane Ian, you see that there were 2,000 homes that were put on the market. If you back up 10 days before that period, you see that there were 3,000 homes that have been listed as new listings for sale on the MLS. Now, you've got the reality of basic economics. We've talked about it so many times before. Supply and demand drives price. So the hurricane has now increased the demand for housing in Fort Myers. The reality is people are now distracted. They're trying to help themselves and others get back up on their feet after that hurricane. And now you've got a decrease in the housing supply. And so demand is up, supply is down. My prediction is that housing, because it's short, is going to drive the price up. Prediction #2, interest rates are going to continue to rise. Now, this has nothing to do with Hurricane Ian, but keep in mind, Hurricane Ian has nothing to do with the normal life of the people in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Ohio, Wisconsin, Seattle, Washington, California, Texas, unaffected by what went on in Southwest Florida on September 29. The interest rates that have been going up because of government policies trying to slow down inflation. They told us that the interest rates would go from about 3% to 7% by the end of the year. You know what the interest rates are right now today, my friend? They're 7% for a 30-year conventional loan. They tell us that they're also going to go higher. So what's going to happen? People that are in Fort Myers and Southwest Florida have said, listen, I don't really have the luxury of saying that the interests are high, therefore I can't buy. I need a home. I have children. Children are the most precious cargo we carry through life, right? So they say, I don't care if it's 20%, I don't care if it's 30%, I need a home. They're going to continue to need housing. They're going to be looking for housing. Prediction #3, insurance rates are going to go up. We grab our head and we say, you've got to be kidding, because Florida residents have already been paying some of the highest insurance premiums in the nation. We understand that there are tropical storms in Florida. Logically assume that insurance rates would be a little higher because of that. But the real problem is when the homeowner's insurance is costing about $4,000 a year per household, we realize that the problem is fraud. There needs to be some serious insurance reform coming out of the state legislature in Tallahassee, Florida. Fraud has taken a toll on the people. Fraud is devastating the housing market and the economy in Florida. There has to be change. When we look at history, we realize that the insurance companies go belly up. They pull the plug. People that have paid their premiums for 10, 15, 20 years, never made a claim. Now they have a disaster hit them. And the insurance companies historically have said, I'm sorry, we don't have enough money. We're no longer doing business. Did you realize that new policies cannot be written for home sales following a disaster? If you had a home that was ready to close, it now has to go on hold because the home that you were going to move into cannot be written. That policy cannot be written. And the closing, that before it can take place after a hurricane, there has to be another home inspection to prove that the home is worthy to go to closing. If not, the claims have to go on the old policy. Insurance premiums are going to go up. There's $60 billion worth of damage. Insurance companies are on the hook. Fourth prediction is this: rental prices are going to go up. And we go, no way. Yeah, this is going to be a really, really hard pill to swallow. During COVID, when 969 people started streaming into Florida every single day, rental prices went up because demand for housing went up. The average rent in Miami, Florida today is just under $3,000 a month. That's not a house, that's an apartment. Now rentals are going to go up. Why? Supply and demand. 3.5 million snowbirds come down to Florida every year. We love them. They help us because they drive money into the economy. But those people contracted for this year's rentals before they left to go back up to Canada or northern United States last spring. So now the people that were hit by Hurricane Ian need housing. They're going to be desperate to pay whatever the landlords say. So anybody who has rental properties are going to be able to drive the price up, and that's what's going to happen. Who's going to pay for that? Insurance companies have policies that said if you ever have a disaster in your home, we will pay for housing while your home is being repaired. That's another reason why insurance premiums are going to go up. I've already talked to one friend who got the insurance premium in the mail, came at horrendously bad timing for that person. Their insurance bill went up $800 in 1 year. Prediction number 5. Housing markets are going to suffer tremendous gains and tremendous losses. Why? Because real estate is hyperlocal. That means that every home and every neighborhood and every town and every county is unique. Now, Freddie Mac knows, local officials know, insurance companies know, home buyers know, realtors know what areas in the Fort Myers area flooded first. Flood zones are going to change. Homes that were never in the flood zone are now going to enter into a flood zone. That's going to drive the price of their home value right into the ground. People who didn't suffer losses and their home didn't flood, didn't suffer severe wind damage, the value of their home is going to go up because people want to buy where they're safest in the future. Hyper-local real estate is going to drive a major change, and people are going to win, but a lot of people are going to lose. My friend, the people who got hurt worse by Hurricane Ian were not the rich people, the wealthy who had 2 and 3 homes. It's the person who had to buy in a flood zone years ago because the price was a little bit lower. My friend, these predictions don't just come with a wet finger in the air from Brent Haggerty. They come from the world's #1 expert. Let me introduce you to that expert. Her name is history. History tells us that there have been hurricanes before this one, and we've all learned from what's happened to the housing market post-hurricane event. Hurricane Harvey hit Harris County just outside of Houston in 2017. $125 billion worth of damages in Harris County. You know what happened in Harris County? When Freddie Mac went in and did a survey, he discovered that housing prices in the next 12 to 18 months increased by 2.5%. Hurricane Irma hit Naples in the same year. On the other side of the Gulf of Mexico, Naples, Florida, way down the southern tip. If you compare housing prices from 2016, just before Hurricane Irma hit, to 2022, just before Ian hit, you'll see that in 2017, right after Irma's arrival, housing prices dipped just like they did when Harvey hit in Harris County. But if you compare those prices today, you need to be aware that housing in Naples, Florida, since 2016 till present, with a hurricane in the middle, have increased by 50, 60, 75% in some cases. Then you have Hurricane Charlie. History tells us that Hurricane Charlie came to Florida right over Sarasota. Now, she was 9 times smaller, only a 5-mile wide eye instead of a 45-mile wide eye. But nevertheless, I ask you the question, over the last 21 years since Charlie left Sarasota, have people stopped moving to Sarasota? A far cry from that, my friend. Of the 1,000 people a day that have been coming to Florida in the last 2 years, you need to understand that most of them have been landing in Naples, Florida, and Sarasota, Florida, my friend. I think you can expect that housing prices in Southwest Florida are going to increase on the average of about 2.5% to 3.5% in the next year because of the damages of Hurricane Ian. People are going back to Fort Myers and they're going to rebuild. Here are 5 things I think you should do based on the world's #1 expert called history. You should educate yourself. You should listen to YouTube videos. You should educate yourself on the local housing market. Find out what the hyper part of your local market is saying. You should get yourself a really, really good realtor that cares about you, that is proven that he will watch out for you or she will watch out for you. You need to find yourself a good mortgage lender that will do the same. I would encourage you, interview 3 of them and pick one that you like their personality, you like their character, you like their track record. Get yourself a pre-qualification approval letter. Get it in your hand now. Don't wait. Get it in your hand. And then, my friend, I encourage you, make a move. Get ready to make a move, especially if you have been paying rent. Maybe you sold your home and you've been renting. Keep in mind, if you're afraid of 7% interest, which is a lot in comparison to 3, just realize that you've been paying 100% interest for your housing every 30 days. It's called the monthly rent. Your landlord loves to see you coming at the end of the month because he's getting wealthier and you've gained absolutely nothing. Every time you give that rent, you've paid 100% interest, my friend. These are my predictions. I would like to hear your comments. I would like to know where you agree. I'd like to know, especially where you disagree. I'd like to know what's on your mind because when you write comments to me, it causes me to go back and research in that area and then put out another teaching. Every Tuesday, you can expect a new teaching. You can expect to see TikTok shorts and things on Instagram. In between those, my friend Brent Haggerty, Brokered with EXP, here to help you. Just contact me. My information, telephone number, website, and email is all there. Have a great day. We will recover. This is not the end. It's happened before. Hang in there.